Iburu, Iboya, Ibuche, everybody in Cyberland. It's your favorite Babalao. At least I hope so. Omo Oddun Dileke coming at you with a part 4. And I know Letra de Año, boy, is popping. It's hot. It's hot. But we're on part 4 of the Letra de Año, the Oddun of the year. But before we dive right in, this one particularly is going to be for Miami. The last one I did was Cuba. Miami is my last one. I'm not going to touch this topic too much more other than answering emails and answering comments. Additionally, for those who have desktops, computers, and are able to get on YouTube, if you look on my channel, there's a discussion tab. In that discussion tab, I went ahead and put as much information as I have on the Letra de Año for Miami and Cuba, so they're on there. So please feel free to get on there. If not, you shoot me an email, and either my wife or I, we will send you what we have right now for Cuba and Miami. Now, no guarantees on what exactly Miami is going to put out in reference to the Letra de Año. You'll see that in the Cuban aspects, the last video I did, I went into very, very much detail for the simple fact that the Letra de Año in Cuba, they released their papers. They gave a lot of descriptions about the Odduns and some of the things and prophecies and things to come type of deal. And I know for a fact that Miami is going to be doing theirs next week. And I don't want to get ahead of them. All right. I don't want to get ahead of them. But I'm going to tell you the Odileke perspective on things. All right. I gave you, no kidding, as much information as I have that was released from Miami in the discussion tab. But without further ado, let's jump right in. Let's talk Odileke style. Boom. So that I can talk to you guys. All right. So, la letra de año for Miami, which my advice is you use this letra de año if you live in the United States and the continental United States, more importantly. So, Osa Otura, that's our first one, Osayuri. When we talk about Osayuri and we look at the things that have happened from starting from 2020 and we roll into 2021, the very first thing when I think Osatura, and I want each and every one of you to think about, is the fact that in this is where it literally states, and I got notes. I started to take some notes because I'm trying to analyze everything from 2020 to 2021 and what is relevant to us today and how we can move forward. And the first thing that I think of is in Osauri, this is where the truth comes to the world by Ifa. The truth comes to the world by Ifa. And the one thing that I can think about is, okay, the truth comes to us, but what truth? And here's where something we have to really understand. For the United States, it was an election season, right? And you know, the new president, cabinet, and all this other stuff is going to occur this year. All right, that's one. Then I do know that there's a lot of conflict within the religious communities. We have a lot of people doing things they're not supposed to do. That's another thing. There's a lot of things that we're just not supposed to do because Ifa tells us not to do it. For example, we are folks that are religiously tolerant. That means that we respect all religions and we don't bash each other. Right? That's one. Two, we understand that we all have our lanes, whether it's Ocha, whether it's Ifa, whether it's Palo, it doesn't matter. We cross different terrains with respect to the hierarchy of things. And the hierarchy is, I'm a Babalao, I do Ifa. All right? A Santero, Santera, right? They do Santero, Santera stuff. They do Ocha. A Palero wants to work with Eguns and they want to do Eguns. Well, more power to you. You do Eguns, right? And it's not that we cannot interact with each other. It's not that I can't do Ocha stuff. It's not that I can't do Egun stuff. It's not. That doesn't matter. That is not the case. Okay, the case is that we respect certain things and we follow the truths of Ifa. No different than we value women in such an aspect that in this faith we have to respect women, right? Women are almost a vessel of heaven itself, of Olorum itself, right? Women are able to transmit the good word from God. When we receive and we're born, we received in this earth in the womb of a woman, and we are placed on this earth, right? In a sense, we are receiving, or the women are receiving, the very essence, right? Very essence of heaven, the very essence of God, right? Because based on our philosophy, we went in the foot of the Creator and we said, hey, this is what we want to do. We want to go to earth, and this is how we want to do it, and we do it, right? And women are respected in that aspect. The same reason why women can't be babalaos, because of that nature, right? That the nature of what a woman is. One, a vessel, and two, their menstrual cycle, because they're constantly purging themselves so that they can take care of life itself. They are sacred. They can't get their hands dirty in certain things in Ifa because they're not subject to Oddun. So if you're not subject to Odu, right, then you can't be allow. And there's those common rules, and I like to use that particularly as an example because then we have people who feel like, hey, there has to be an equality. There's got to be this. There's got to be that. And don't get me wrong. I'm all about all this equality. I'm all about all of it. Hey, I'm not against it. But I would say that we got to tread lightly. We got to put things into perspective. Some rules, okay, maybe they should change. Maybe evolution should happen. But not all things are designed to happen that way. And that is the basis of Osa Tura. Listen to the good word. What is the word? So Osa Tura does a couple of things. One, it challenges everyone that's in this faith and everyone that is in all faiths. Because in Ifa, we capture all communities, right? Whether you believe in nothing, you believe in something. Whether you're a government, right, and you're a democratic system, whether you're a dictatorship, whether you are a Bawalao with a spiritual house of 1,000,000, whether you're a Bawalao with a spiritual house of 5, whether you're a Santero or a Santera with your own ile, it doesn't matter. The point is that there's a truth to the words of Ifa. And we got to be very careful on how we approach things from this day forward, because everything in Ifa is captured in everything that we do as human beings. Osatura wants us to be good, respectful, loyal, and understand your boundaries. Understand your boundaries. That's the basis of Osauri. And let me explain a couple of things that pop in my head when I think about Osauri, and I was just looking it up a second ago because I was trying to remember the story. Because Saudi, there's certain things that I like to talk about, and then there's other things where I'm like, I don't know if I want to talk about that. And particularly, it has to do with one pataki where we talk about Elewa, and Elewa wants to get married. Elewa wants a partner. And in this pataki, he goes to Orula, and they talk about, they consult doing a bow, and what he doesn't do. He doesn't do the bow. He doesn't listen to Ifa. The word of Ifa told him to go do X, Y, and Z, and he didn't do X, Y, and Z. Okay? And in this particular scenario, this is where where STD is mentioned in one of the Ifas, right? Because he gets gonorrhea. So it's funny, but it's not, right? So in this sign Osatura, we start to talk about some of these bacterial, some of these I guess health issues that happen down in those private areas, and we have to be very careful. And we also got to be very careful that when we're looking for a significant other, that we tread lightly. So in Osatura, okay, let's begin to dissect that a little bit more. In Osatura, we tell people, be very careful with your other half. Be very careful on who you share your life with. All right, not every woman that crosses your way is going to be your wife. Not every woman that crosses your way needs to be a girlfriend. Not every woman that crosses your way do you need to be with. For the guys, that's the advice. And for the women, specifically, be very careful. Okay, because in the reciprocal, that guy's already sick because of another woman, and now you're going to sleep with him because you made it possible. Be careful who you mess with, please, so that you don't get sick. Because you, like I explained earlier, there are certain reasons why women are women and guys are guys. Okay, you are a vessel of God. You are it. You are a prime candidate and vessel and something that is necessary for mankind to succeed. You create life. Value yourself, because that's the other piece of Osa Pori. You had to respect yourself. For all the women out there, you got to respect yourself. And for all the men out there, you got to respect the women. It's a twofold scenario. The other big thing, we want to make sure that you understand who Oya is. I want you to understand who is Iku. Okay, I want you to understand that in Osa Pori, and this is where everybody gets hung up on, this is the first time Iku tasted flesh. Okay, and why is that important? It's not because a divinity came down and boom and started eating human beings. No. That's a story. But what does that mean? That means that there's an appetite for death. There's an appetite that's already here. People are going to die. So how is that relevant to 2021? So we've had COVID, but we're not out of the water yet. And that is what the Letra de Año wants you to understand. Listen to Ifa, do the ebos, respect yourself, look for the health conditions, okay? But more importantly, understand who Iku is. Because at the end of the day, Iku is not done yet. He's just not done. We came out in the prophecy, Ire Iku, and let me make sure I'm saying everything right because I don't want to say anything wrong. Came out Ire Ariku. Okay, so Ire Ariku, when we talk about Ire Ariku, we're talking about long health, life, blessings. Okay, so long health, long life, and health. All right, but not just for us because it's a letra de año. It's gonna be for that aspect of the United States in an essence, right? So how do we get there? That's the other piece. And that's where Ifa tells you you have to follow your advice. You got to follow the advice of elders. You got to follow the advice of parents. You have to raise loyal and respectful children during these trying times, whether it's COVID, new governments, whether it's things that are going on around the world. This is not the time. It's just not the time for you to be acting out. Okay, now is the time to start putting things in order, and that's what Osa Pori, when it talks about the word of Ifa and following it, that is the point. Please start to organize your house because that is the most important piece. Listen to Ifa, listen to the words of Ifa. It talks about inferiority complexes. Ifa talks about how you should respect women. Ifa tells you how you should be a good father. Ifa tells you how you should be boom, X, Y, and Z. And it's the same reason why I made a lot of videos last year on just Oddun, so we can understand why the Pataki's trying to reflate, because they reflect our ethics and our morals, because we need to have good ethics and morals. That's important. Because if not, you don't listen to Ifa, it goes right behind you, and bad things happen, guys. Bad things happen. And I don't want to talk about the bad things, but that's what happens. More importantly, let's keep dissecting, okay? Because this is very important. So I took a couple of notes here. We talk about Oya in this sign, right? Being very dangerous because of the aspect of Iku. Another reason why we try to stay away and we try to pull away from Iku by doing certain things, whether it's protecting the door, whether it's dressing more in white, Osa Pori, anybody who knows the sign, anybody who maybe you have this sign in Mano de Rula, we used to tell you, well, wear more white, because you're trying to attract more positive forces. You're trying to get more blessings in. The other thing that we like to tell people in here is be careful. Be careful of people doing brujeria. or you be careful with doing brujeria. Okay? Because at the end of the day, with doing witchcraft and brujeria and doing this other stuff is it's cute. All right, it's cute, but it's not gonna solve anything. If the divinities want to remove an obstacle from you, okay, they will remove the obstacle. You do your piece, right? It's a 50-50. You still have to do your piece. You have to listen to Ifa. You got to do the bowls, right? And then if they remove it, they remove it. They don't move it, they don't remove it. But why? Because it has a second, third order effects of things. Sometimes we say, hey, we're going to go do the bowl, and we do the bowl, and nothing happens. And we wonder, like, whoa, wait a minute. Ifa said do this, do that, and it should fix the problem. It will fix the problem. It may not fix it now. It's going to fix it later. Or it's going to look at, hey, this is what the end goal needs to be. So the end goal will occur, just not going to occur the way you want it. Now, the reason why you got to be very careful. Listen to the words of Ifa. Truth comes to the world by the way of Ifa. Osa Pori. That's what it speaks of. And in this situation here, it talks about you have to be a little bit more confident in your decisions. You have to go to Ifa and be confident of what you want. Okay? Don't be indecisive. Don't ask for advice and not take it. This is not the year. That's what Osa Pori talks about. And I want to make sure that we're really talking about this, because more important than anything else, I'm going to go back to the female aspects of things. If you're a mother, if you're a daughter, okay, if you're a grandmother, respect your mother. All right, you're going to have to do it one way or another. You got a problem with your mama, call your mama up, say, Mom, I'm sorry. This is why. Because in this sign, Osa Pori, this is where the mothers of the world will sacrifice for their children. And they do it from the passion and the love from their hearts. I already said it. Hey, if you have a mom, a grandma, okay, now women, men, okay, those women, those mothers are going to sacrifice for you. Those godmothers are going to sacrifice for you. And you don't know it until it's too late. You don't know it until it's too late. So please give thanks to them. Let's see. Other than that, boom. We need to also, and this is a very touchy topic, all right, because I want to make sure that everybody understands. Everybody's entitled to warriors and mano de orula. Everybody. I don't care who you are. However, it comes with a lot of responsibility, and I've mentioned that in the past. But with Osa Pori present, if you're on the fence, should I not? And maybe you're ready to make that leap, I say you commit. Don't be indecisive. Remember what I said? Don't be indecisive. Now is the time. Understand your Ita, understand who you are, understand who your guardian is, get your warriors, but more particularly, I say it in Osa Pori because this is where Osun is very prevalent, okay? And Osun is an extension to give you extended life. With the Ireariku, I already said you got the benefit of long life. But with Osun, we create another barrier, right? Another reinforcement to that Ire. And that's why it's important. So that's the reason I say, if you're thinking about it, go ahead and knock it out. All right. So with that said, let me make sure. The first testigo, or which is the first witness to Osatura, was Odiolbe, or Indibri. All right. And I think I mentioned Indibri just recently too. I did a video on Indibri, but there's a couple of things that I really want to mention here. In Indibri, remember when I said Osatura, we have Iku. Iku's coming through. We're not done. 2021, we still got death. We're still gonna have a little bit of carnage. We got some issues. We got some things that are rocking and rolling. But now with Indibri, which Odiolbe, we talk about the resurrection of Egun. We talk about Eguns. Okay, what happens when you die? Right? We materialize. Our bodies decompose. They decompose. In our spirits, we become Egun, right? And we get judged by our actions, and we figure out if we're going to go to this place called Oddun, if we're going to stay down here and we're going to help all human beings, or we're going to reincarnate, whatever. That's not the point. But the point is, here's where the resurrection of Eguns comes to be, which means it's a new passage. That's the most important thing when we think about Odi Olbe, a new passage. So more importantly, when we hear that,
I don't have any information about that.
when we hear that, we want to understand that in Odi Obre, a new passage, an evolution, resurrection of Eguns, means that people die, but people are going to come back. Right? We get to see the balance of things come in. And that's why in Odi Obre, that's what gives us the Ire Ariku, the long life and health. So we have to look at Odio Olbe with the eyes of why Ire. And I will tell you now, in Odio Olbe, if you reinforce the acts of understanding that the truth will come to the world through the words of Ifa, all right? If you take that and then you say Odiolbe is the Oddun of communication, the Oddun of investigation, being vigilant, keeping your eyes open, paying attention, right? Then that will tell you that that reinforces Osatura, right? Follow the words of Ifa. But more importantly, being vigilant of everything around you. Now I told you, COVID is still there. Put the mask on, right? Keep the 6 feet distance. Don't go to large gatherings. Get the vaccine. I don't know how many times I tell people. People are like, "Oh, I'm worried." This, that, and the other. Why? Because they get wrapped up into the political game. They get wrapped up because everybody wants to be a scientist now, and everybody wants to be a doctor. I got a lot of doctors running around nowadays, and especially when they get on Doctor Google, all right, and they get on that WebMD. Listen, please start taking things for a grain. Take things one chunk at a time, the things that you can control. Listen to the words and the advice. Don't be indecisive. Do your piece to do well for you and your family. Listen to the communications, listen to the advice. All right, what else did I write here for all the Libre? Thinking about 2020 to 2021. I also got here about that you got to be very careful on your actions that you commit. In 2020 to 2021, we had a lot of loss of life. We had a lot of people that made a lot of poor decisions. Whether it's and I won't even say it's poor decisions, but more of just circumstances, right? We have people that don't have jobs. We got people that are hungry. We got people that are spending money on things they probably don't need to spend. Now is the time to prioritize, right? The Oddun communication is telling you to listen to E5, which is now telling you to prioritize the way you do things because that's important, especially when Odi Olbe is here. Because in Odi Olbe, why it comes out ire is because Chango, boy Chango is coming out. My parafun Chango, right there. He's coming out and the celebration will come. The celebration will come. 2021, we still got to go through it a little bit, but the celebration's coming at the end. That's another reason why we say this is the creation of the drums, because you're going to hear the drum beats. But the drums and the sound of music sometimes is the marching of a war, of a battle. So we have to be prepared. So prepare yourself now. Do the ebos, listen to Ifa, take care of your house, make sure you take care of your family. Listen to your mother, listen to your godparents, do the right thing, and now prepare for the war, meaning you did everything you needed to do. So that way we can come across and we can truly celebrate with the right drums and the right sounds so that we can get past what this world is going through at the moment. And what you and your family need to not do and do so that you can be successful. All right. The other big thing when I see this is Odi Olbe comes with Ire, right? It's what brought us the Ire Ariku, but there's also the Osolbo part of this. And in Odi Olbe, this is the Oddun that marks smallpox, you got chicken pox, skin rashes, irritations, allergies, right? But when I hear these things and I say, wow, we just left 2020 and we're going to 2021, but it's okay. We just got to make sure we take care of ourselves. Go to the doctor. If you feel sick, go to the doctor, get yourself checked out. I don't care. Don't be that person that has too much pride and like, I'll be okay, I'll sleep it off. If you're not feeling well, go to the doctor. It's necessary. I hate to tell you, you guys got to do it, especially with this sign that's prevalent, because when we start to think about the evolution of bacterial or viral infections or the COVID-19 and how things evolve. The world's not done. I just told you, Iku, flesh, people gonna die. Don't be a statistic. Listen to the words of Ifa. That was the first sign that I explained to you. And now the Oddun communication is talking about all this type of what? Smallpox, epidemics, things that have occurred already, now gonna occur again. The resurrection of something. We played this game already. Be smart. Do your thing. Take care of yourself. All right, what else did I say here? We already talked about it. Hey, at the end of the day, be careful with betrayal, okay? Be careful with people that are going to work the system or get desperate because they don't have a job, or get desperate because they want to pay the bills, or they want something flashy or nice or whatever. Be careful with the betrayal, because the betrayal comes in different forms, whether it's going to be betrayal in your spiritual house, whether in your physical house, whether it's your inner circle, it doesn't matter. Because what happens is, here's where people, when we look at Odiolbe, we think about the negative nature, the negative, or we'll call it evil for all intents and purposes, influences that dominate a person's mind. Odiolbe is telling us we're going to get to Ire. I'm telling you, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but we're going to go through this trial, that war, right? You're hearing the beating of the drums, right? And it might be war drums before we can get to the celebration drums. So we got to be very good, very, very careful about those things when we talk about the betrayal of things, because times are tough, and people, when they get cornered, a lot of times they're going to do some very unreasonable things, and that's where negative influences come in and they pollute the mind. Okay, with that said, I already talked about taking care of family. I already talked about making sure that we don't lose anything. Take care of your home. Take care of your spiritual home. Take care of just be a good human being. Ethics and morals, okay? Ethics and morals, all right? Let's see what else we got here. Now we got Osa. Okay, Osa. Let me see my notes here. What I got for Osa. Osa was the second witness to Osatura. And I will tell you that this will be the separation of Odudua and Obatala. And what does that mean? That's the light at the end of the tunnel, right? It's all perspective and analysis, right? It's all perspective and analysis. But what does that truly mean? That means here in this sign, and I took a couple of notes to jot down, is here's where we talk about the person needs to get themselves checked out, right? And it talks a lot about the doctors, man. And this is where this sign kind of gets very interesting. When we talk about Ochase, we talk about somebody's mouth and the mouthpiece, and being careful what you say when you say it, because inside you, in Ochesa, there's going to be two types of people. It's going to be the type of people that listen to the words of Ifa, followed the communications, took care of everything they needed to do, did all the ebos, and boom, they're going to be great. Because in Ochesa, this is where the person drinks, actually, the omiro and the baths, and cleanses themselves from the inside out, so they can speak better, they walk better, they're stronger. This is why we tell people go to the doctors too. If you're not feeling well, go to the doctor, talk to the doctor, see what the doctor's got to say. You got to be very careful here, because here, when we talk about Odudua and we talk about Obatala, okay, we talk about some aspects of Odudua that have to do a lot with the Eguns, with death, right? And then we talk about Obatala when we talk about, the father of the white cloth. We talk about patience, we talk about tranquility. But that is the separation. That is the light at the end of the tunnel. That's where all those forces of things that we probably don't want, that were left in 2020 and are bleeding into 2021, and all these changes that probably may not be good for us, because there's going to be some unrest politically, there's going to be some issues in the streets, there's going to be some spiritual issues, be a lot of things. But that separation occurs. The separation occurs, and it comes towards the end, right? Because in this Letra de Año, you see that it came towards the end, and that is why it's important for us to pay attention. Okay, because this is going to be the moment where when Ododua leaves and Obatala is here, what does that mean? Stay calm, stay patient, have faith. Okay, go to the doctors if you got to go to the doctors. Don't lose your cool. Everything's going to be okay. Do your piece so that divinities can do theirs. All right, because more importantly, in this sign, in this letra de año, not even in this sign, el Ewa is the governing Orisha, right? Accompanied by Oya. We already kind of talked about the Iku aspects of things and the death aspect of things. But what does Oya also do? Huh? Oya is the wind. And like the wind and like a lot of many patakis, it's that same wind and that breeze and that tail, right? That's pushing the Eguns away and the negative influences. Because that's what Oya does. Oya controls that aspect of things. So some food for thought there, right? In this Oddun, all right, you got to be very careful because here is where, again, we're going to go back to you have to make sure you have grace, right? Ethics, morals. Put a couple of notes down here. You need to respect, again, your ile, your God brothers, your God sisters, your biological brothers and sisters, your parents, your uncles, your aunts, everybody. Be a good human being. Please, please, please. And that at this point, this is where I want to stop. Okay, I want to stop. I know that I took a lot more time on this one than I did with the Cuba one. Why? Because Cuba kind of wrote a lot of things down already, and I already put that in a discussion tab. But more importantly, Miami has not released theirs, and I wanted to get ahead of the game, and I wanted to make sure you guys had all the information that is no kidding moving through my mind, because that's important. All right, it's important, and more importantly is for the letra de año for Miami. Again, by the end of next week, they should be releasing something that's a little bit more in depth that can be released. All right. I've sent out what I have for Miami already. I'm doing this video to jump ahead of things, but I don't want to put anything or commit anything to paper just yet until I give them a chance to communicate what they need to communicate. Now, Cuba, I put a whole bunch of things on there, okay, because Cuba released it that way, and it was very good information. It was detailed, and it was ready to rock and roll. So that's there. All right, so please take good advice. Listen to Ifa, do your ebos, do your consults. Those things are important. And with that said, Iburu, Iboya, Bucheche, many blessings to you, and may you and your family and all your iles, okay, have a blessed 2021. Letra de año. I think I beat this one down pretty hard, but always, I'm ready to hear your questions, concerns, comments, so we can learn together, because every question you have, it makes me think a little harder, and I learn something new every day. Iburu, Iboya, Ibucheche, Cyberland. It's your favorite Babalao. At least I hope so. Like, share, subscribe, definitely. I'm still trying to get that community tab going, but Iburu, Iboya, Ibucheche.